So what's going on guys, Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best destroyer PVE build in Lost Ark. So in this guide I will show you what abilities and awakening skill you want to get. Then I will explain what are the best engravings, gems, runes and even cards to use for endgame content. And then lastly I will show you the best gameplay and even which stats you need to allocate for PvE, so you would be able to get the best results and highest damage possible and much more. So no matter how low or high level or gear score your character is, you can easily use this build and follow the step-by-step guide. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So Destroyer is a slow but very hard hitting class. He has a lot of shields from his skills and he can do crazy amount of damage. In general, Destroyers are very good, fun and not hard class to pick up and learn. So then at the endgame we will be using the gravity training engraving, which will give us faster gravity meter recovery, then plus 30% basic attack and gravity vortex crit rate, and then extra plus 20% attack damage during the hypergravity mode. So if you are looking for the best leveling, rating, chaos dungeon or any other PvE content build, then this is the one for you. Okay, so now let's move over to the build itself, and these are the skills you want to have. And here at the start I will show you a full endgame build with 404 skill points, but then later in the video I will show you the same build but just with 252 points. So this way, no matter if you just started playing this class or if you already are in the late game, you will be able to use this build right from the start. So then for the first ability we have the heavy crush, and we want to use just 10 levels to unlock the quick blow, lucky core and aftershock. Then for your gems you don't want to select anything, and then lastly for your rune you want to get the rage. Then for the second ability we have the full swing, and we use 12 levels to select the agile movement, scary hammer and beast's eye. Then for your gems you want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the second one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the overwhelm. Then for the next one we have the dreadnought ability, and we use 10 more levels to unlock the tenacity, tough body and violent hammer. Then for your gems you again want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the other one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the protection. Then for the fourth ability we have the seismic hammer, and we use 12 levels to select the absolute strength, sharp wall and starving strength. Then for your gems you want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the second one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the gale wind. Then for the next one we have the endure pain skill, and we want to use 12 more levels to unlock the wide strike, trace of pain and hidden pain. Then for your gems you want to get the cooldown reduction gem, and then lastly for your rune you want to get the focus. Then moving over to the next ability, which is called Earth Eater, and we use 10 levels to select the enhanced strike, tenacity and rock storm. Then for your gems you want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the other one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the gale wind. So then for one of the last abilities we have the perfect swing, and we use 12 levels to unlock the weak point detection, sharp hammer and hour of slaughter. Then for your gems you want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the other one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the gale wind. And then for the last and final ability we have the running crush, and this time we only use 7 levels to select the lucky core and target focus. Then for your gems you don't want to select anything, and then lastly for your rune you want to get the overwhelm. Then as well, after level 50 for your awakening skill you want to get the Terra Break. And then on top of all this, focus on equipping as high item level gear as you can. And then at the end game you should have 500 crit and 1100 specialization. But if you haven't reached this point yet, then try to have around 70% stats into specialization and 30% stats into crit. Okay, so then the way I would recommend to upgrade this build is at level 50, you will get around 250 points. So this is how your build should look like. But then by doing more and more endgame content you will get more points. And then at the absolute endgame, this is how your build should look like with all the 404 skill points. So at the start you use the 252 point build, and then by leveling up and completing quests you will get more points. So just keep on improving your skills and getting higher tier runes and gems as well. So then let's move over to the engravings, and you want to get the gravity training. This engraving will increase the recovery speed of your gravity meter by 2% every second. Then you will get plus 30% basic attack and the same plus 30% crit rate while in the vortex gravity. And then lastly you will get plus 20% damage increase to the enemies during the hypergravity mode. So overall this engraving will give you a huge damage boost, and later in the video I will show you how to use it to your advantage. So then for the second engraving we have the Master Brawler, and this will give you a hit attack damage up to 25%. So as you can tell, this is a very nice damage addition to have. Then the next one is called Spirit Absorption, and this is a simple engraving that will give you plus 15% attack and movement speed, with no drawbacks whatsoever. Then for the fourth engraving you want to get the Barricade, and this will give you a 16% damage increase when you are shielded, and as bunch of your abilities will give you a shield, so this is a nice damage boost. Then the next one is called Grudge, and this is more advanced engraving that is recommended for tier 3 content. This Grudge is the most efficient engraving against mobs, and you will get your damage increased, but in return you will take 20% more damage. So when you get to the very endgame content, which is called tier 3, then get this engraving, and before using it, get it to at least level 2, because at level 1 this engraving is not that efficient. And then for the last one we have the Cursed Doll, and this is a significant attack power increase at the cost of 25% healing penalty. This penalty can be offset by paying more attention on dodging red AoE circles and by using healing potions more often. So then in a quick summary, I would recommend to get the top 3 engravings first and then the bottom 3. And then last but not the least, let's move over to your cards, and you want to get a Shandy, a Zena and a Nana, Ninaven, Vey, Baldur and Tarvain. In general, these cards are endgame system for maximizing your character, so you don't have to get them right away, but these specific cards will optimize your damage and defense output in PVE even more. I did bunch of testing for this build and this was the best and most optimized card set. Okay, so then moving over to the gameplay, and if you have played this class while leveling, you will be very familiar with the skills, so I will just try to give you a short description. So then for the first ability we have the Heavy Crush, and this skill will smash the ground, inflicting bunch of damage to the enemies, and if you land a hit you will charge one single core. Then the next ability is called the Running Rush, and while you are holding the skill your character will run forwards, inflicting a lot of damage, and when you release the skill you will push the enemies in the air, so this is a nice mobility / stagger tool to have. Then the next one is called the Dreadnought, and this is your one and only counter attack ability, and because we have selected the Violent Hammer tripod, we will be able to attack twice the enemy while in the air, so this will make the skill a lot easier to hit. Then for the next ability we have the Endure Pain, and the skill will charge 2 cores while at the same time give you a push immunity, and if you land your hit you will debuff the enemies for minus 24% defense for 6 seconds, so this is a good debuff skill as well. Then the next ability is called Earth Eater, which is our first purple skill, and keep in mind that purple skills are this build's main damage dealers, so this ability has the highest stagger in the entire game. And then on top of all this you will be able to spin 3 times, each time inflicting bunch of damage, and then the last swing will do massive amount of DPS. Then moving over to the next one, which is called Full Swing, and this is another great damage dealer that strikes the ground and makes you spin, each spin inflicting bunch of damage and giving you plus 10% attack speed and plus 10% damage. And as this is a charging skill, if you overcharge you can do massive amount of damage. Then for one of the last abilities we have the Perfect Swing, and this is one of the strongest skills that Destroyer has. You can charge the skill 2 times, inflicting a lot of damage, and then if you overcharge you will do twice as much damage than the first 2 charges. And if you did not know, then you can overcharge by holding the charging button to the max. Then for the last normal ability we have the Seismic Hammer, and the skill will make your character jump and smash the ground while inflicting bunch of damage, and then the jump on the ground itself will create an 11-meter wall that inflicts even more damage to the enemy. And then last but not the least, for your Awakening skill we have the Terra Break, and from both of our options this one is the best for this build. So in a quick summary, this skill will make your character smash the ground, inflicting a lot of damage. When the ground smash happens, the ground will crack, making a gravitational field, and all enemies in the field will get knocked back. And then most importantly, on top of the damage, after using this ability, your gravity meter will be restored to 100%. Okay, so then let's take a closer look at your best skill rotation, and I will explain why we use the skills that we chose and in which specific order. So the highest damage rotation is to first of all use the Heavy Crush, then Endure Pain, then Terra Break, which is our Awakening skill. Then afterwards we press Z, which is our Hypergravity mode, and then we just keep on using normal attacks till the mode ends. Then after that is done we use Perfect Swing, then Running Crush, then Heavy Crush, then Seismic Hammer, then Dreadnought, then Heavy Crush, then Earth Eater, then Heavy Crush again, then Dreadnought, then Full Swing, and by this time we should have our Hypergravity mode for the second time. So then we repeat the same rotation, just this time without Awakening skill, and that's about it. So let's see what we did in this rotation. The way the Destroyer works is that we use our blue skills to get to these 3 cores, which then gives us more damage and unlocks the purple skills. And then on top of this, while we are doing damage every second, the sidebars are refilling, and when they are at 100% we get to activate our Hypergravity mode, which gives us increased damage for basic attacks. So then we just spam them for super high damage. So then basically the main rotation is to first of all use Heavy Crush and Endure Pain to get to 3 cores. Then we use the Terror Break, which is our Awakening skill, and it has 5-minute cooldown, so we get to only use it at the beginning of the fight. But then after we use the Terror Break, we will right away get these bars to 100%. So then we press the Z key, which will put our meter back to 0. But in return it will activate our Hypergravity mode, which will increase our damage. So then we just spam the basic attacks while the mode is active for super high damage. Then after the mode is over, then now we use the Perfect Swing, which we get to use because by using the blue skills we get to 3 cores. So then we use 1 purple skill, then again we use blue skills to get to 3 cores. Then we use them by activating 1 purple skill and rinse and repeat till the sidebars again refill to 100%, and then we repeat the same rotation, and that's about it. So now in my last and final conclusions for this build, remember that the Destroyer is a slow class and most of his skills are charging skills, but in exchange of the speed, the Destroyer has the second highest HP and armor, behind only the Gun Lancer. Then as I've mentioned at the start, this Destroyer build is very simple, and you will get highest damage numbers as long as you keep remembering the playstyle, which is to use blue skills to get to 3 cores, then use 1 purple skill and rinse and repeat. And then every minute or so, remember to activate the Hypergravity mode for extra more damage. Then as well as bunch of your abilities are charging skills, so I would always remember to never just quickly use one skill and then moving over to the next one, but instead you want to overcharge most of your abilities to the max for the highest damage possible. And then lastly, remember that your abilities have the highest stagger in Lost Ark, so you should be able to stun your enemies 24/7, and that's about it. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other good Lost Ark PvE classes that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I will catch you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.